What's up? Minasan konbanwa, boku no namae wa Wiz Kaleb. Yo, it's been a hot-ass minute since I last recorded myself live on camera. I think some reintroductions might be in order here. See, for all your old-timers, you might remember a time when I was blind and misguided, getting drunk off my ass, ranting about hentai and shit. Well, no more. Because you see, Lord God Almighty came to me one night in a fever dream and he says, Wiz, you're misguided. You're lost. You're walking a path of sin, and it's high time that you change your ways. Start devoting yourself to a heavenly purpose. Something that honors my grand designs upon this earth. And y'all, I listened. And for 2 long years, I've been devoting myself to a new crusade. Something with pride, something with love, something that I cherish deeply with all my heart. And if you're wondering what that is, I'm archiving Laserdiscs. Which brings me to the point of this video. Cause you see, I've been at this game for a long ass time. I've built up a considerable amount of skills, expertise, and experience in this line of work. And I thought to myself, you know what? If there's a reason good enough to come out of retirement, it's to teach the world what goes into this business. So, with that being the case, we have a lot of ground to cover. A lot of things to teach and inform you about. So without further ado, grab your favorite alcoholic beverage, take a swig, and settle in. Because class is in session. Now, I would imagine you're wondering, what in the hell even is a Laserdisc? Where did it come from? When was it made? What was even on it? And why in the hell was it so big in Japan, despite not really making waves here in America? Well, while those are all very good questions, I'm kind of strapped for time, and I'm not here to give you the whole history spiel. And if you want, you can just look it up for yourself on Wikipedia. But what I will say is that Laserdisc came out in 1978, first commercially available optical disc storage medium, and boasted some pretty kick-ass specs that arguably made it superior to VHS, and definitely the preferred viewing experience among videophiles. Now, as for what was actually on it, why don't I give you a look? Alright, so what do I have for show and tell? Well, as far as what you could find on Laserdisc, well, just about anything as it happens. I mean, we got John Carpenter's The Thing. We got one of my personal favorites, The Phantom of the Paradise, along with Lawrence of Arabia, and hell, even Street Fighter. So, I don't know if I can provide you an answer as to why Laserdisc died out so quick here in America, and why basically no one really remembers it. But what I can say is that it was a huge deal in Japan, with most notably anime, and you can find just about everything on it. Things such as Dangayo. Things such as Project A-ko. Hell, I even got Gunbuster, All Purpose, Culture Cat Girl, Nuku Nuku, and plenty more. So, like I said, just about everything was on Laserdisc. Now, as for the overall ins and outs of a Laserdisc, let me give you a close-up look. For our example, we have the classic Japanese OVA, Devil Hunter Yoko. So, first off, you'll notice that it has a protective dust sleeve right here, protects it from the elements. If we pop out the actual cover here, it has a front side, along with a back side. Back side is going to have product information, episode stuff, details, illustrations, and most notably, the price tag. And where is it even on here? Yeah, right here. Right here. Yeah. Things don't change, man. Laserdisc be pricey. Anywho, one nifty thing about Laserdisc is that sometimes you'll be blessed with some unexpected goodies. Like this right here. a pull-out doohickey. So, front, and a back, and better yet, splits open to reveal more illustrations, more details, staff interviews, and lots more. So, that's all fun and dandy, but what's the actual disc look like? So, pulling it out very carefully, it's this right here. Very similar in shape and design to that of a vinyl, as well as a frisbee. Has a little hole in the center here. Pop it into the hub of your Laserdisc player if you happen to own one, and then you can play it. So, anywho, hopefully that gives you everything you need to know about what a Laserdisc actually is. Moving on. Now, before I get any further, I want to take a step back for a moment and talk about how it actually was I got into archiving. Because you see, 2 years ago, I didn't really know shit about what a Laserdisc even was. To me, it was some old-ass, defunct, archaic piece of hardware that most everybody didn't really care about. But see, one day, I'm strolling around the vendors hall over at SakuraCon when I come across this booth. And they had, honest-to-God, bona fide Japanese Laserdiscs for sale and on display. And y'all, my mom was cooked. I was frizzed. I was frazzled. I was in disbelief. Because they had everything. I'm talking Mobile Suit Gundam, Macross, Sailor Moon, Card Captor Sakura, Cowboy Bebop. I didn't know what to do with myself. And so, at that time, I did what any sane, normal, logical thinking, collected individual would do. That doesn't actually own a Laserdisc player. I dropped like $200 and I loaded up. But, you see, I didn't care. It wasn't the fact that I didn't own that hardware to view what I just purchased. I was in awe and enamored by how unbelievably cool the cover art looked. And I think that speaks volumes about the appeal of Laserdiscs. Because, say what you will about the specs, the video output, the sound, and all that other stuff, what really sets Laserdiscs apart and makes them a force of their own is the aesthetic design and style, the artwork, the illustrations, the covers, and nothing else, not VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, none of that even holds a candle. And that's what drew me to this format. And so, after the fact, once I loaded up and gone home, I did some research because I was curious. Because surely there had to be someone, something, archiving and collecting the stuff and making it available online. And I was shocked at what I found. Because maybe you got some people on Facebook sharing the camera photos. There's one website that does have a large library collection, but it's all JPEGs with watermarks all over them. But otherwise, I couldn't pull up anything. And so I said to myself, well, I already have a scanner. I'm technically working on comics and manga. So why can't I do this? What's stopping me? And so from that day onwards, one thing led to another. Tens of thousands of dollars with many troubles, heartaches, complications, and a lot of learning. But I did it. I am beyond happy to share that I have almost 260 something odd titles to my name. I have a platform where the whole world can view my collection for free, without charge, in great quality, and share the same excitement over these treasures, just like I did. And it's my hope that through this video, you gain a better appreciation for Laserdiscs, as well as a greater understanding of what goes into archiving. So with that out of the way, let's take another chug for good luck. Roll up our sleeves and get on to it. Alrighty! Before we get down to scanning, we gotta hook ourselves up with a piece of hardware. Let's take a look at what we have handy. You'll see before you here right now, we have two Epson model scanners. On our left, we have the V39 Perfection, capable of 4800 DPI, at least according to the product page. Retail price, like 3 years ago, before inflation and all that shit, like $80. And on our right, we have the lavish, most beautiful, most elegant, most exquisite, most amazing V600 Perfection, capable of 6400 DPI, retail price, like $350. Now, I would imagine, after hearing all that, you're probably curious, Wiz, why in the hell do you have two such wildly, differently price-tagged items in front of you? Well, we're gonna get to that. But before anything, let's pop them grills and take a look underneath the hoods. So, as you can see, these are both very similar in shape and design. This is what's known as the scanner bed. Both of these particular models are about 9 inches in width, 11.5 inches in length. They come with a USB cable, shown here, plugs right into your computer. They also have a CD-ROM with software that you would install into your computer, allows you to interact with these scanners. If we go down below, you'll see that they have exterior button modules, shown here. Pretty nifty. But that doesn't really explain to you why you should pick one over the other. So, let me make it very simple for y'all. See, I love the V39. V39 is like a second-born child to me. But unfortunately, after 2 years of using this thing and coming to face with reality, it just ain't up to the task. Because you see, even though that thing is very affordable and easy on the wallet, it's really only good for paper material. The moment that you start scanning magazines, DVDs, Blu-rays, VHS, and most importantly, Laserdiscs, you're gonna start noticing some glaring issues. Because you see, even though, according to the product information, it says it can do up to 4800 DPI, which is a load of bullshit, mind you, you start zooming in on those scans, and they don't look very pretty. Like, really small details do not come out clear. There's weird pixelation and lines and shit that appear on the covers of what you're working on. And fact of the matter is, if you want to have good looking quality scans and you want to be a professional, you got to fork up the cash and hook yourself up with some competent hardware like the V600. Now, you don't have to have the Epson V600 Perfection. I mean, there's other things out there, and you can do your research and see what works best for you. But between you and me, you want to go with the V600, because this thing is a freaking beast, man. I have nothing but praise and admiration for this machine. It's beautiful. But anywho, that's enough of me ranting away about the different ins and outs of hardware. So, we're going to be working with the V600. I'm going to show you the ins and outs of what this thing is capable of and how the software works. Let's get a move on. Alright, we ain't looking too shabby. We got ourselves some hardware, now we need something to scan. That's why I imported us some things from Japan for show and tell. You'll see here, we have the Japanese Laserdisc edition of Sherlock Holmes. And, alongside that, we also have the American classic, Buckaroo Banzai. So, first off, we're going to start ourselves off with Sherlock Holmes. You'll notice here something that I didn't point out initially. This comes with what's known as an obi. It is basically a promotional advertisement thingamabob that just slips on and off. Like so. Now, some people might prefer to have this included with the scan. Me personally, I don't particularly care for it, so I just leave it. But that's just so you know. Now, we're going to dig inside real quick and see if we were blessed with any extras. And as it happens, it looks like we were. So you'll notice that it does come with a little slip bonus. So we're going to set that aside. And anything else in there? Nope. All right. So let's get started. So first things first, we're going to take the lid of our scanner and pop it open. Next, we're going to take a material shown right here, and we're going to start with the front side of it. So we'll take it, and we're going to flip it so that it will be facing the scanning bed. But before we place it on the bed, there's something that I need to point out. Firstly, when I talked about the dimensions of the scanning bed, like how this is 9.5 or so inches, and how this is like 11.5 inches, that's not entirely true. See, you don't have full access to this scanning bed. This side, and that side are going to crop in a bit. The only side that you have full access to is this back end right there. Now, that might be confusing, but it's very important, so remember that. Now, the other big deal that we have to point out is you'll notice that this is our laser disc. And the scanning bed isn't big enough to encompass it. But that's alright, because we have a piece of handy-dandy software that's going to accommodate us. But because of this, we need to basically split this laser disc into 4 individual scans. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move it and situate it like so. Now, you'll notice that the way I have it placed on the scanning bed, this back corner here is flush with the adjacent wall. So you have a gap here, and you don't really have a gap here, but we don't care about that. That's all right. But the important thing is that because of the way that this scanning bed crops stuff, you always want to be flush with this back side. So, with that situated, we're going to close the lid of our scanner. And we're going to push this button on the far right here. And we're going to let it sit. Let it do its thing. And I just realized that I don't have my scanner turned on.